Fullerton Unfiltered is straight ahead. Hi, I'm Mr. Producer, encouraging you to pick up both the residential and commercial contract that Brian offers at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. The price on both of those increases July 1st. The contracts are editable with your specific info and will help just give you the confidence to grow your business and present your company in a highly professional way. There's a link in the show description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brian Fullerton here, actually joined in studio with my beautiful wifey for lifey, Liz Fullerton. Hey, babe.
Hey.
And so, hey, really quick, guys, we're going to do something a little different here that we haven't done in a while, and that is a two-part episode with a podcast that we were able to shoot with Caleb and Brittany Allman and Liz and myself. Liz, where did we do this whole podcast?
We were in Waco, Texas, after the Together in the Trades event.
Okay, so we were down there at Together in the Trades, Waco, Texas, and it was a really, really good time.
It was such a good time.
We had a blast doing the whole live event with Together in the Trades, and we were joking with the Almonds because 10, 11 o'clock at night, we finally wrap up, and we were just joking that we're all like workaholics, right?
Right.
So what do? We go back to their...
We're talking about balance and like all of this stuff all day at the conference. Get back to the hotel room at like 11:30 midnight, and you're like, you know what we need to do? Let's do this giant podcast that is so big that it needs to be split into two.
When we look down at the board, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this thing, and we're like just talking. It's midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning by then, just going crazy, right? And it was a really good time, but it was actually a little bit more of an insightful story to our past, our relationship, our marriage, and how we weren't the maybe most illustrious start to a successful marriage in business and in life, right?
Yeah.
So we took it all the way back. So actually what we did here, something that I don't think we've really done this on our show before, is we did a two-part episode. So the first half, if I'm not mistaken, right? I'm looking for this nod, this verbal count. Okay,
Yep.
Verbal account. They can't see you nod your head. So, but episode 1 or part 1 is on the Kid Contractor podcast with Caleb and Brittany Allman. So I'm going to actually make a really strong suggestion. Before you guys go into this episode, for real, you'll come back to it, no big deal. But I think you're really going to miss some context if you just go into this episode.
If you're just joining us halfway through, like I don't know exactly where this is going to pick up and where we left off on there. So you're definitely jumping in the middle. So definitely go check out the first half.
Here's what we'll say. Liz and I, we just took all the walls down. We were as transparent as we probably have ever been.
I think we were so tired. It was so late. We hadn't slept more than like maybe 4
or 5 hours that night
for like a couple of days because we got in early for the event. There was just so much going on, so much to do. And we were tired and we were feeling inspired.
Yep.
And our whole talk that we did, just for preface, at Together in the Trades was on
legacy,
leaving a legacy, but first digging your foundation. And so we really kind of went into like some of the stuff that we had to dig out.
Yep. We had to excavate. Yeah. We had to. We both came from broken homes, right? With no
really great examples
of marriage. So we took it all the way back, and so we took it
all the way back.
We took it to the darkest probably part of our relationship that it's ever been, and it was also probably simultaneously the darkest financial point of our life. Yeah. So this window, which by the way was just 4 years ago, maybe, a lot has changed. Okay, so with Lawn Care Company, with our social media company, with learning from you guys that listen in. So here's the deal. Without being a dead horse, we don't want to do a huge lengthy intro to here, but if you guys have not listened to episode 1 on the Kid Contractor podcast or part 1 of this episode, run over there right now. Hit pause. Go back to the 4 squares on iTunes or whatever you're looking at. Go do the Kid Contractor podcast. That's with Caleb and Brittany Allman, and listen to part 1 because it was a fun 45-minute conversation.
It was supposed to be like an event recap, and then we just...
Somehow along the way, the conversation went a different route. Yeah. And it was a Brian and Liz Fullerton on the couch tell all about how messed up our life was, which it really is a humbling conversation. So hopefully we don't lose any credibility with you guys.
I'm nervous for this one.
But to be honest with you, like we're real people. We're authentic people. We're real people. And I know a lot of folks out there want to hear like the real stories and like the real conversations. And you don't want to just hear the fluff and the highlight reel, right? Well, if you don't want that, strap in, because where we're going to take you on this part 2 that you can come back to our podcast for, we really drop the veil, if you will. We really just get honest with how our life was and the work that had to go into to fix it and to get it to honestly where we wanted it to be, which is a little bit more of what we have today. So that's our premise and our preface for this conversation. So part 1 is on the Kid Contractor podcast. We'll leave a link in the show notes. Hit pause on this episode. Go over there. Hit part 1 over there with the Kid Contractor podcast. Come over here and button this one up, and then hopefully we'll see you on the next episode, which will probably be a lighter, fun episode coming from the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. So if you guys are new here, it is lawns, it is lessons, and this one is a whole lot of life. So baby, you good to go?
Yep.
All right, guys, let's roll it, and we will catch up with you guys here in just a few minutes.
You got one on the way here. How do you folks plan on making sure your kids appreciate the things, you know what I mean? The things that you didn't have that made you who you are. Like, so, I worry about that myself, you know what I mean?
One of our big, obviously, like, this isn't speaking from experience or anything. We are really lucky to have like 2 mentors in our life, a married couple that have a business, that have been able to provide better for their kids than they were able to, were provided with themselves as children. And one thing we talk about a lot with them and just with Brian and I is involving the kids in the business. Like always being, like we're edifying each other when we're staying up until 2, Brian's not able to go to a soccer game because he has to go get, content today or something like that. And always involving, like you talked about, we were very goal oriented, involving our kids in that as much as possible. I don't know exactly what that looks like. Obviously we haven't had them yet, but that's one thing, Jim and Jenny, this couple that we were talking about, they've always done with their kids. Their kids were, it's very much a family business. And so the kids knew the work that it took because they see it. It's not like mom and dad work behind closed doors. It's a family business. Everybody's, what do you say? Everybody's on the farm thing, Brian.
The farm thing, Brian. Well, I mean, I heard somebody say that your kid, like it's a family farm. Your business is the modern day family farm, right? And everybody had a role in the farm, right? At 5 a.m., you were out there milking the cows. You were doing the deal. Everybody in the farm, nobody got a free lunch on the farm, right? If sun up to sun down, and then they invented, candles and then electricity, and then you were able to farm longer, right? And you always stored away for a bad day, right? There was always surplus on a farm if people were working, right? Like that was the idea of farming, right? Like it was, so everybody had a role. And so I learned that also from Josh Latimer, that to give your family different roles in the business, right? Your business is the family farm. That's the income, right? Your livestock or your crop, like that was your income. And so talking about no free lunch, right? I mean, to teach your kids like, hey, whether it's...
Nobody rides for free.
Nobody rides for free. That's something that I really am going to have fun experimenting with as we have children is...
Take this all with a grain of salt, because like I said, we don't have kids obviously yet. And I'm sure some people probably listening to this have, kids and are rolling their eyes like, oh yeah, that sounds great. But that's our hope. That's our grand plan. It is something we talk a lot about because...
Yeah, I me personally, I mean, like, that's a whole other topic for a whole other time, sort of. But like when it comes to kids,
a sidebar there. I apologize.
No. I mean, but it's a tremendously fun opportunity to go down a rabbit hole, right? Like, I want to teach our kids thought process. We all do, right? Like, I personally would like to have pass the baton of legacy to our kids, right? But they're not ready to accept that baton. There's going to be a lot of stuff they got to learn, right? And then to get something and to grow it, to keep it, to multiply it. These are all going to be lessons that they're going to learn. They're going to have to learn before, you give them that leadership opportunity to. I think the biggest thing for us was we know exactly what we don't want. We know what we do want, and we're working like bloody hell to get there. And so now it's just like, it's fun because I think I was talking to you, Brittany, during the break. I said, once you realize you can do something, now you want to do more. Like now you feel like you can do more. Like if you had an event with 100, I bet you I could do 200, right? And it turns into this fun game, if you will, to see how much better you can be, right? And then you realize like, hey, like we all did a lot this last 8 weeks, but you know what? We didn't die.
And we're here podcasting. So we obviously had more to give.
Yeah, like there's this new capacity, right? Mm-hmm. In 2020, I think we all dealt with that in a lot of varying degrees with COVID and shutdowns and income and revenue and goals and budgets and blah, blah, blah.
It is interesting. Like, I think that the challenging part of talking about legacy for us, like we talked a lot about foundation rather than legacy kind of, is we view it as like you almost don't get an option. Once you know you can do more, do better, or expect more of yourself, like you have an obligation to do more, do better. So it's like when you say something like legacy, that sounds so grand and so like idealistic. Like really it's for us, like a lot of it's been survival. Like we finally get to a point where our head's above water, but you're constantly afraid that it's going to go back under. You just keep paddling and like you don't even realize how far you've gotten in the the pond or
Yeah, and I heard a quote once, and I might have shared it with you, Caleb, or somebody, but I read it in a book. It said, I read it like 5 years ago, right? So I'll probably butcher it, but it said something like the crowning of a man's character is the moment he realizes his duty to obey. And it was this whole topic about duty and taking care of your family and sacrifice. And so the crowning of a man's character is when he finds out it's his duty to obey. And it's like talk about commandments, right?
Yeah.
Like serving the Lord and some other different topics. And I'm like, whoa, like I don't get to just, I have free will, but there's work that has to be done.
Right.
Like I'm here for a reason, right? Like that kind of stuff. So you get like these heavy conversations, right?
Sure.
And I know your friend Jordan and you always talk about this stuff.
My good friend Jordan.
Good friend Jordan. But that's like the fun, meaty conversation because, outside of like working and cutting grass and doing, laying bricks and all this fun stuff that we do, it's like, what are we really trying to accomplish here? And so for me personally, like I realized like, hey, we came from so far back. Mm-hmm. We were able to stop this lazy river, right? That just was like impossible. I'm throwing rocks in there. The rock gets drifted away. I throw a log in there. Oh, that'll stop this river. No, the log gets drifted away. The current is just so strong. And so it took us a long time to dam this thing up and then to be able to, back drag, clean this thing out and build a different channel, right? And then put a little hydroelectric dam on there, if you will. And so now it's like, that's where we're finding this fun. We're like, oh my God, we're capable people. Mm-hmm. We can change things. We can build things. We can reorganize how we want to do it. And so,
and it seems like it happens so quickly. Like
in just 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years ago, actually I would say 5 years ago.
5 years.
Yeah. Your birthday trip was really when we put like kind of stakes in the ground. And it's so for us to say like, oh, like to talk about legacy or what have you, like we just feel like we finally got things going. So to even think about like legacy, like that even sounds bigger, like more magnanimous than like just getting to ground zero. Like we feel like we just got to ground zero.
I'll tell you what, like we are so excited, and so many of you guys listening are doing the exact same thing. By the way, like it's not just us, right? Like some of you guys are learning your business, learning your numbers. We're on this journey together, right? And so for us, when we came from so far back, I'm like, we have to fix a lot of things. Like we have to excavate, right? Like we have to dig down. And when you dig down, you don't really find things that you like. It's muddy, it's dirty, it's nasty, it's stinky, and sometimes you crack a pipe and there's mud water, right? Or there's gray matter, right? It's just like you don't want to dig down. Nobody wants to dig down, right? And so for us, like we've just been building this foundation, and so many people listening in you're building this foundation, right? And so now, like we're just like finished the basement, right? We're just like the home will come. I just bought the 4-wheeler, the Tesla, some of the material trappings, which I couldn't care less for, but like. I'm like, hey, we just spent 5 years, 10 years, right? 15 years even for the lawn care company building this foundation, and now we get to build up. So I'm like, when we were talking about building a legacy, I was like, I don't want to really talk about building a legacy. You're my dreamer.
It made us uncomfortable. Like, and there's not a whole lot of topics that like we feel uncomfortable speaking on, but legacy, because we did come from so far back and we've had to spend so many years just, getting to ground zero, working on that foundation that we almost don't feel worthy to call what we've created legacy yet. Like we don't feel like we've arrived in any way.
Yeah. Well, and I'll add to that because we talked about that skyscraper, the Burj Khalifa, that skyscraper analogy. I said like, dude, I'm so excited about this foundation thing I've laid. I'm like, just get ready. Like, dude, the next 5 years, like we're going to build this everything, right? Like that's the opportunity. So I'm like, I don't really know if I want to talk about legacy because I'm not really I do a lot of talking on my podcast, do a lot of talking on YouTube, right? But I'm like, I'm not the tell you everything I'm going to do guy. I'm just like the leave me alone. I'm going to go to work, right? I just want to work. And I'm going to stick my head up 6 months later. I'm going to have this, and this accomplished and go, holy crap. Like I thought I was working hard, but this dude smoked me, right? And then 6 months later.
Tell me about it. I have a feeling all the time.
All the time.
And that's, I'd rather work that way because I don't mind sharing my goals and dreams and visions with certain friends and people, or even some select family, right? We've learned some lessons on that even lately. Yeah. But everybody's always like out there just loud. And I'm like, dude, you go be loud. I'm going to go to work. Right. And then 6 months later, I'm going to have something else accomplished. And you go, damn, dude, like I thought I was working hard, but I wasn't even in the game. Right. And then 6 months later, you know what I mean? So that's more, I'm like, look, I don't know if I built this tower, this vertical tower above ground, this legacy yet, but I'll tell you what, I built a foundation that's going to build a skyscraper. And so now I'm like, look, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Life is good. We're making progress. I said the next couple of years, it'll be transformative. It'll honestly be like, holy crap, financially, relationally, having a family. To us, I'm like, the ingredients are in place. I think in the book Good to Great, right, he says, not only do you got to get the right people on the bus, you got to get them in the right seats. Right? And so we have like literally been, and you know what that really is? It's us being the bus driver going, all right, this is our bus. We got to figure this damn thing out. You know what I mean?
For a very long time, it was just us on the bus.
It was just, that's a whole other one. Yeah. And it was chaos, right? I mean, the bus has got a wheel that's like, falling off. The door doesn't shut correctly. All the windows are all messed up. Like, so for us, that's what we've been doing. We've been trying to figure this all out. And it goes full circle to marriage because, at the presentation, like, we didn't do like a soft shoe. Like, we did a good presentation, but Caleb's like, Brian's going to turn it on. And I'm like, he said that after, like, Brian's going to turn it on. And I'm like, not really. I'm like, everybody said some really good stuff. Like, I didn't need to, like, one-up anybody. I didn't feel like anybody left anything. Like, Bill Harley, he's been married for 59 years. 1 second, guys, Bill left something out. Now, I know Brandon's been married for 36 years, but what they really meant was that. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go that route. But I will say this. The one thing that I wanted to share was our darkest night in our relationship.
You're going to go there?
Yeah.
We're doing this now?
You want to do it now, or when you want to talk about it? Because we were going to talk about it, but we didn't talk about it. And so, when I did this talk at this event, and I said, when you're building this skyscraper above ground, nobody appreciates the foundation, right? Everybody wants the legacy. Nobody wants to put in the work, all this other fun stuff. Well, what other people don't realize is that sometimes, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right, behind the scenes. And we didn't project that, I don't think, one time here at this event. Like, we were all very authentic. For us personally,
For sure, by the way, yeah.
100%.
I'm nodding my head like the audience can hear, sorry. Yes, absolutely.
For us, like, 4 years ago, we had just the crummiest night of our entire relationship, and shit, like, came to a head. Mm-hmm. It was really interesting because people don't understand, like, money does do a lot of things for you. It gives you a lot of choices, a lot of options. Absolutely. And anybody who will argue till they're blue in the face about how it doesn't, I'll argue back that it does. Because I've been poor.
Without a doubt.
I've been poor. I've made, and I've had, I could put my hand on 6 figures, right? Cash, like blah, blah, blah. And so can a lot of you. It's irrelevant, but you guys get what I'm saying. But at that time.
Making me cry.
Yeah, at that time, we were stapling signs together, right? We were stenciling wood signs.
We showed parts of so like I said, I showed you our whole speech that we had written out. We didn't touch on a lot of this. So a lot of the photos we showed in the beginning were of my Etsy business, just to give context to where you're going. And it sucked. Like, there was times where we had to go and use your truck at our storage unit in the middle of winter on the ground, like, to stand signs and stuff, because we couldn't do it in our apartment. And we needed the money, like, really needed the money. I was laid off from my job, and we probably wasn't honestly the best decision. We decided that I just wouldn't be going back. This is the decision we're making, and we're going to make it right. And it got tough. Like, it really got tough. And so we're in our 700 square foot apartment. We have a Christmas show, like a craft fair that we're doing. And it's the night before, and everything's like half finished. Like, and it's midnight.
And this is a big show.
It's one of the biggest ones, and we were really counting on it to make like a decent amount of money just to even get us through, honestly, the month.
By the way, this is 4 years ago.
Yeah, this isn't that long ago.
This is like
four years ago is not that long of a time ago. So there's a lot of pressure. It's late night. I mean, we are up to our teeth in debt, and it was like I don't even know what we're doing. Like,
right.
And it's all on us to just create this thing that we have to show up with tomorrow. It was bad.
So we're sanding signs inside my 8.5 by 16 enclosed trailer at 11 o'clock at night. There's nobody around. I would pull the mowers out of the enclosed trailer. I'd run a 50-foot extension cord in there. I had the little Black & Decker little sander. So I'm sanding inside the enclosed trailer at 11 o'clock till 2 a.m. Sanding signs.
We take it back,
stripping them with what's the dye called? The tarnish, the varnish, whatever.
Stain.
The stain. Yeah. And
but no, we take all the stuff back to our apartment.
Yeah.
And all hell broke loose. Like,
well, and it's the whole, like, you're stressed out when you're financially stressed out. Like, I think AJ and Alicia talked about that. When one person's stressed out and the other one isn't, like, they can hold each other together, right? Like, we have a saying that we always say all the time, like, we both don't quit on the same day, right? Like, we both just don't quit on the same day. Because there's times if you quit, the business quit, our relationship, I've quit our relationship, all this kind of stuff, right? Short story long, right? Not to draw it out, but short story long, we're stapling signs at 1:32 in the morning. Stapling. So we got this little Ryobi staple gun, and it's a little nail finisher gun.
I think we both had stapled our own fingers. I had hot glued my own fingers to signs like multiple times that night. Like, I can't see it. Like, that was the other thing in our old apartment. There's no light.
There's no lighting.
There's no overhead light or anything. So we're like basically in the dark with like lamps trying to. It was like a sweatshop. Anyways.
Yeah, we had no money.
It was so bad.
We had no money in this trade show, little show that we went to, whatever to call it, the Christmas market, right? It was like, this could be our like $500 or $1,000. Like, this could be a big show that's like $10,000 to all of us today, right? Like, that kind of a story. And what happened was we're nailing these stupid signs together. We're arguing, and then arguing turns into bickering turns into fighting turns into screaming turns into things that you regret saying. And so, like, real talk, it's 1 a.m. You're beat tired, I'm beat tired. Yeah, it's getting later and later. And we're nailing these signs. So I shoot some nails into the sign, and, it hits like a knot in the wood, punctures through the front. It's like a $40 sign. Like, the $40 sign was like the big sign, right? Pokes through the front, and Liz goes, what the hell is that? And I go, I don't know. I basically ruined the sign. I'm like, it's unsaleable. We end up having the most knockout, drag out fight that.
And it's never about the thing you're arguing about. There's always those it's not the sign that we're fighting about at this point.
It's underlying.
All that stuff comes out, right? I mean, somebody talked about like volcanic eruption. This was like Mount Vesuvius, you know what I mean? And it was rock bottom. It was screaming, fighting.
Signs are getting thrown.
Things are getting thrown, holes punched in the wall. I mean, like, nasty. And it was so bad where I literally had to say, we need to separate. We need to separate. Like, go to this corner. Now, granted, we have 700 square feet, right?
Like,
I think this room that we're in right now at the hotel, 700 square feet. I said, you go over there. I'm going over there. I'm sobbing, crying. Liz is sobbing, crying, and then it works on you. All that extra stuff starts working on you. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm in these trap house apartments. Like, that happens to other people.
I think for us too, like we were white trash growing up. Like, I grew up, my parents would like not pay the electricity bill. We would they would call it camping, and I thought it was cool until I could figure out I was 12 years old and I was like, this isn't normal. Like, we grew up white trash. I had a very violent childhood.
It's all shocking back into you.
And so we're like, oh my God, I said I would never be my parents. We are now our parents. I'm screaming at 2 a.m. Things are being thrown. There's holes in our wall. Like, we are white trash. Like, we never made it out. Like, this is horrible. I'm too old to be doing this. Like,
as a dude, I'm thinking every guy right now listening, as a dude, you're thinking the atmosphere of the home is predicated on my attitude and me and my leadership, right? So what does that make me feel like?
Right.
I'm a loser, right? I'm a failure, all that kind of stuff. And also the financial aspect, right? I'm like, we need this $500. We need this $1,000. Like I'm a loser. Like, I'm a loser, right? And we just have this meltdown this whole meltdown, right? And so you're sobbing and crying. I don't want to be with you. I'm done with you. I'm like,
this is the closest we've both gotten to being on the same
and so
night.
If that's not,
it's worse.
If that's not as bad as it could be, right? You hear the whole. This is the police.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, this is the police.
We folks married or dating?
Well, we were married for 3 years already.
Okay.
3 years, and you're.
This is like mortifying to admit. Like, this is the lowest point we've ever gotten into our marriage.
This was 100%.
And the sad thing is, like, I answer the door. I already know why they're there. I automatically push up my sleeve, show my wrist, like everything's fine, like I'm good. I've been in this position
you
before.
knew what to do.
It's how I grew up. It's like, this is literally mortifying, like, worst place I could have ever seen myself being in our marriage. Like,
they take me out of the apartment, right? So we're in the hallway. So they take me like out the door.
And all of our neighbors are hearing this. Like, we share a hallway with our neighbors. Like, everybody.
This is 2 a.m. They take us out of the hallway all the way down the steps. And I'm like, hey, like everything's cool. Like, we just had a really bad fight. He's like, sir, just stay right here.
Oh, geez.
One of those. And I'm like, bro, for real. Like, I get it. But like it's just, we're just having a really tough, she's stressed out. We got this thing tomorrow. Like, he's like, sir, I'm going to tell you one more time. Don't move. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is real. Like, I'm like, don't say anything stupid moment.
Right.
He goes upstairs into you, shuts the door, little private 10-second conversation, do the wrist thing, right?
Wrist thing, shoulder neck, yeah.
That guy comes out, asks me the same thing. Sir, are you okay? I'm like, shit, have you seen that lady? That's what I wanted to say, right? I'm like, I shared a meme, right? It was like, whatever it was. It was like, have you played any impact sports lately? Or no, but I've asked my wife a question.
No, yeah, are you into dangerous sports or something like that? That was a good one.
That's
man.
what
that
it
was. A funny meme.
No, but I like to disagree with my wife once in a while.
That was funny.
But he asked me the same questions. Sir, let me pull up your sleeves. Let me see your wrist, because I guess that's a thing back, for guys too, right? And so if you want to talk about just like ultimate rock bottom, ultimate squid, I'm feeling like a loser, the whole deal. We go back upstairs. We both just literally sob each other off the floor, right? I think you literally quit. You went to bed. Mm-hmm. I'm like, these signs aren't done. We're going with what we have, which was like, let's just say maybe a fourth of what we thought we were going to sell. We go there. We do this whole thing. We make $150. Didn't solve any problems, right? Created more problems than it did. But that was literally the lowest point we had ever been in our relationship. Now, by the way, we're also the brokest we've ever been. Yeah. And broke isn't financial, right? We're broke. We're broke in.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting clarification.
Yeah, like we're financially broke. We're relationally broke. We're like our living situation is broke. Everything is just, we're not winning. You know what I mean? We're just we're not winning.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, other people are winning. Why can't I win? And so I had just turned 31, right? I had this catalyst of like, I wanted to, and I said this once on my podcast. I said, it was right around the same time I'm driving on this road, and I did this whole other story on a podcast, but I was, woe was me. I was a victim mentality, all this stuff. And I'm just like, why me? Why this? Why us? Why now? Right? How can other people do all this stuff? How can other people have beautiful relationships and they hold the door open for each other and they're happy and all this? Why? And I had like no sisters, no nieces, whatever, no girls in my life, no sis. So I didn't know how to treat a woman. I didn't know how to treat a lady. And the irony is that I had read boundaries. I had read love and respect. I had read the 5 love languages. I had read his needs, her needs. And so everybody always says like in today's world, what are you the most known for? I'm like, now executing. Because I had all this head knowledge about how my relationship should have been. Was I doing anything in executing on that content?
We had to go there to like actually, it's really shameful. Like and not happily telling this story.
It's no fun, but I mean, it's people just to make you feel everybody's got a story similar to this, if not worse.
The rock bottom story.
Yeah, for sure.
But you either work your way through it,
you're not
alone.
Or
you're not here today.
We 100. So we came back together. We started just putting one foot in front of the other, and that was the presentation. We started working on the foundation, right? I'm like, we need to fix this. The way we talk, the way we communicate, our expectations, our rebuttals to each other. Do we react or do we respond? Do we, how's your love tank? How's your love bank? These things became real things.
Because it was life or death. Like either we had to figure it out or, oh my gosh, we're going to have to be divorced. Like, because I cannot live this way. And I will not bring children into an environment like that because that's how I grew up. And I won't do it.
And I want to give this like Cinderella like punch through story like it's in the movies, and 15 minutes later pops through and like it's the end credits and like it's happily ever after, right? But that's when the work started, right? Because we had to fix, we had to excavate. I always say we had to work on ourselves, honestly,
right? I said, I need to.
It was a lot of applying things because we read the books, we attended conferences, like we did the things, but if you're not applying any of it, and a lot of it was pressure and stress of owning a business and
100%.
trying to figure things out. But that's what made us start implementing everything that we learned. And that was our biggest thing. Like, we hope people that came to the conference like took away is like just coming here won't do anything for you if you don't apply it.
I had said the meetings don't make you successful; they prepare you to be successful.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can go to an event and think you're just by osmosis, I'm a better person, and unfortunately, based on my experience, it's just never been the case. Because it's good info in, good info out, and just because you warmed a chair for 8 hours and paid $200, and then what most people do is they go home and they brag that they went to something for 8 hours and spent $200. Like, that's the accolade, not what they learned or felt.
Not the takeaways, yeah.
Exactly. And so
now we don't make farm signs anymore.
We don't make farm signs anymore. Don't do that. If you ever decide to start that business, I'll talk you out of it. I think we were paying to make them. I think you had said that earlier, which is totally probably true. But for us personally, it was rock bottom. And so when we looked at this event too, thank God you're the one that got choked up, because I'm thinking to myself, dude, we've been here. We've been broke. We've been broken. Like, for real.
Yeah.
And so I know how bad it felt at 2:30 in the morning, right? By then, probably 2 in the morning. How bad it felt getting the boom, 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 knocking the police, and then open the door, and then you go, hey, it's okay. And he goes, sir, step outside. I don't want anybody to go through that.
Right.
Right. I don't want anybody to go through that.
I don't want anybody's kids to see their parents go through that.
No. And so we made a resolve, like, hey, we're not perfect. Heck no. Like, we're never going to probably have it all figured out, right? It's impossible.
And this isn't to say that we're perfect now. Like, we still argue. I think it's so weird when people are like, "Oh, we don't argue." I'm like,
well, that's
two really weak people.
I'm like,
I don't think you talk to each other.
Yeah, I'm like, if I don't have a good argument by noon, I'm like, something's going on. I'm like, the Matrix is taking a day off.
Caleb says I pick arguments just because I haven't had one in a while.
Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah. Anybody that says they don't have they don't argue. They'll lie about other things too.
Yeah,
so.
I have a great meme. It was I was going to show this one as well. It was a lady like leaning over in bed, like over her husband, like with this crazy like serial killer smile, and the meme is just like, I can't wait to pick a fight with him today. Like it's like how they wake up, you know. But they're just having fun. But anyway, which way, we've been there, and so we took this responsibility, like, to put on this event too. And look, we weren't going to solve everybody's problems in one day, right, Caleb? You said that,
right? It's one trip to the gym doesn't do it.
Get you fit.
Yeah.
But
so
even if it puts somebody like on the right track or gets the right conversations going,
we just wanted to be able to give people the resources.
Absolutely.
Right. Like nobody fixed our marriage for us, right? We had to fix our marriage, right? Like, what do they say? Put on the oxygen mask first.
This is actually the first time we've told this story. Nobody else has heard this, like the most shameful part of our entire marriage. So,
and this was parallel paths with our finances, right? With our spiritual walk, and then with our relationship. So when people see like this, more polished product, I guess you could say, that 5 years later, I'm like, dude, you have no idea. Like, we're still building the foundation. So when we talk about building this legacy, I'm like, you know what my legacy is? Fixing me. My legacy is not being a basket case. My legacy is finally being the husband that my wife deserves. Right? Like, that's the stuff that, how long was I going to make excuses for why we were fighting when I just had to act different, be different, right? Like, why was I making my wife miserable, right? Like, why was I letting my own ego or imposter syndrome-esque topics, why was I letting them get in the way of myself, getting in the way of myself, of treating this woman how I felt about her when I saw her walk down the aisle? And here I am 5 years later, right? Like,
yeah. And it's not that we didn't love each other very much. We did, like, incredibly so. But the way that we treated each other wasn't loving at all.
No.
And sure. I just...
It made me really... somebody talked about it at the event, hit rock bottom. And I was like, man, I'm going to be the guy that this lady deserves, right? I'm going to start providing the life, right, that this lady deserves. I don't know what I need to do. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get out of my own way. I'm going to shed this old identity, create a new identity. I'm going to be the person that she can look up to for leadership, for finance, for this. And by the way, I'm going to get so strong that not only can I lead her, not only can I lead myself, but I can lead her. Then I'm going to get a little bit stronger that not only I can lead myself, lead her, I can lead a few other people. And now we are able to, be able to have these 2, 3, 4, 500 people, right? 10, 20, 50,000 people lean on us for just a word of hope, a word of encouragement.
It's amazing what happens when two people get on the same page and start loving each other properly. And how quickly things changed after that for us.
Well, I think one of my favorite ones. I think it was a good old fashioned Og Mandino book, right, or The Magic of Thinking Big, right? All these classics. Was the two horses on the cart, right? One horse is able to pull 6,000 pounds. The other horse can pull 6,000 pounds. And if you get them, trying to move in the right direction together, people were taking bets. Well, they can probably move 12,000, 13,000, 14,000 pounds. And so they did. They linked up the two horses side by side, right, to pull the cart in the same direction. And the horses ended up pulling 26,000 pounds, right? So it was like a 2, 3, 4x multiplier, right. Not a 2x multiplier. Right. And I said, wow, like what if you were able to be that powerful or make that much of an impact with your wife or your spouse? Mm-hmm. And so when we hit the stage and Caleb chokes up, I'm like, shit, get it back to him. Because if not, I'm going to be the one balling here because we really sincerely treat events like this where there could be a Brian and Liz Fullerton in the audience. And I said that in my talk. I said, somebody in here right now has a smiling face, but they're broke. Mm-hmm. They just fought and their marriage is on a thread. And that very well could have been Brian and Liz Fullerton.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Your analogy going back into, and thanks for sharing that. That was heavy. Britt and I just sat here and listened because that's heavy stuff. But we've all dealt with something of that nature to an extent. So you're not alone by any stretch. So it's something I've talked about. Sean got real open with some stuff today too, and shared some things that he does not share very often, and. It's being, opening yourself up and becoming vulnerable helps people, right? Because everybody thinks they're freaking alone. Mm-hmm. Everybody thinks they're alone in what they're feeling, going through, or dealing with. Sure. And when you share that, they realize I'm not alone, and they made it out of that, by the way.
Yeah.
And that's the big takeaway. They made it out of that because they made a decision to make it out of it.
Amen.
And this conference was very relatable.
Yeah, for sure, on so many levels. And I was looking for Bill Harley's notes. I was wandering around the room here as far as my cord would let me go. Bill had touched on a few things. You're talking about providing the life that your spouse deserves. There are a few notes. I can't think of it clear enough to quote it. I wish I could have found it. We'll have to touch on another day. But it was right on the line of that of Bill. Some things that I thought were right along that line of providing the happiness that your spouse deserves. By the way,
making your spouse the most happy.
Absolutely, and some stuff there that hit home for me. So I hope I can find those notes again. 'Cause he had a cool little handout there or whatever. Man, this was heavy, guys. This is cool. And Harkin, you guys talking about building the signs and stuff. And I think back when Britt and I were as broke as you guys, financially for sure. And we went through our own bull crap too. And that'll be for another show, I guess. But, gosh, it just made me think of this place when we were happy when we were broke, but man, just
like I said in the talk, I knew we were broke, but it didn't matter at the time. And we didn't go to fancy dinners and we didn't go on fancy trips. We worked and we went home into our the house had many rooms. We just stayed in one because it's all we could afford to heat.
Right.
But that was, I think, the happiest that we probably ever were. Yeah. Life was simple.
Yeah.
And we were happy and we had a common goal we were passionate about, and that was all we needed. Amen. And just like when we talked about incorporating kids in the business, kids just need love and attention.
Yeah.
They don't need all the material crap that everyone worries about.
Amen. I'll add really quick, Caleb, if you don't mind.
Please, absolutely.
I just, the reason we get so fired up about building this custom home is it's really this internal expression outwardly. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but the apartment, we were so excited to leave it because it was 7 years of just losing. Mm-hmm. We were not winning, frankly. And we started to get our ducks in a row, right, as they say, and things started to make some progress, and we were starting to win, right, and we were able to have this breakthrough. We got this newer apartment, right, this brand new construction apartment, and we cried 10 times over. We stretched into it a little bit. Looking back on it, it was the best thing ever because it made us want to become a better person, and it was our new normal, as they say now, right? And we were we're never going back. right? Like we had this breakthrough, and then we started gaining some life momentum, right? In both our relationship and our finances, and so now we're like looking at building this custom home, and I'm like, that custom home, it's like, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be peaceful. It's going to be a great place to like raise our kids, right? And so it's like this inward, this refuge, this safe place for us and the world and people that we bring over in a controlled environment, right? And so it's really this like, I don't know how to describe it. I know it's like this beautiful home because it's not the brick and the square foot and the cost and the pole barn, right? It's this inward to now outward expression of us, and it's materializing, right? And so to me, like that is the most fun thing that we're looking forward to building. I mean, it's going to be just for us, we're homebodies, and so to see where we came from, picking ourselves up off the floor. I mean, there was a time we told another story about that actual home that we want to build was a photo for a very long time on a refrigerator.
Yeah, I love that episode on
was that
the podcast.
Was that the night that you shredded that?
No.
Different night?
It was around the same time. Like things had been boiling and escalating, and that was around the same time as that.
Yeah.
Big blowout.
And the short story of that was we had this beautiful dream photo of a dream house on our refrigerator, and it said Fullerton Family Estate come in 2020, right? And this was like 2016, right, or whatever it was. And one night, whatever it was, a week before, a week later, didn't make any difference. It was a dark window, dark season. And you took this dream photo, right? And you just shredded them all off the floor. I mean, the visualization and the symbolism here, like
how much that meant to us when we that was our future. We looked at that photo every single day. That's where we were going. That was our map of our true north of like where we were trying to get. And so for me to shred it, like it wasn't just shredding like a cute photo on the refrigerator. It was like the shredding of our
And there was a lot of nasty
dreams.
words that accompanied it.
Yeah.
Doubt-filled words, right? That you guys can imagine the whole scene, right? You went to bed and a whole nother podcast for a whole other time, but I, got the little quart Ziploc bag, right? And I put those, I mean, folks, I could like tear up doing it all right now, right? Putting it in the bag and putting it in the bag and putting the other little piece in the bag and just little poofed out bag, right? Like a big, snack bag. And I zip it with the little double yellow blue zip, right? I get a little chip clip and I stick it to the fridge. And I'm like, I will figure me out to make sure that this happens for her. You know what I mean? Like, I'm better than this. I can be better than this. I need to be the right person. I need to be the better person. And we went to work, dude.
We did. And that's when like things got fun. Like you're talking about how you were broke, but it like didn't matter because you're on a mission together.
You're on a mission.
And like, that's when things got really fun.
Right.
We had a couple of good seasons before that.
Yeah.
But it was like it was like the plane was just barely getting off the ground and it would crash again. It would like,
you're so low that everything is an up at that point.
Yeah.
Right. That's a fact.
Hey, you skip off the ground a couple times, big deal. We're low enough it doesn't kill us.
Right.
We would lose the landing gear here or there,
On an air.
Lose some trees,
Lose an engine.
But that's really like when things really, we got on the same. So I talked on stage today a little bit briefly when we brought the Harleys up. I don't think I did a very good job explaining it because I was getting emotional just talking about it. A lot of people talk about marriage and it's like you're hand in hand walking down this path of life together. And it's, so beautiful and this and that. And it's not like that when you're self-employed. I don't know if it's like that when you work a traditional job or something, but I don't know where people got this idea from because even if you work a traditional job, I just don't feel like that's it. But you have to almost go through these moments and then get on the same page and start a foundation that's so solid that you can stand back to back because the world's going to come at you from all different angles. And if you're walking, hand in hand, looking forward, stuff's going to get you from behind. So you have to be able to trust enough in your partner that even though you can't see what they're doing, they have your best interest and your relationship's best interest and your legacy, like all of that in mind. And so that they're fighting off one thing while you're fighting off another, but you both know where you're going, where your foundation is.
Yeah. One last thing I want to just say here, because I wanted to say this in our talk. And I just forgot.
This is like, there's a talk you write, like the talk you give and then the talk you wanted to give.
The talk you use after the event.
Yeah. What's the one you're going to do, the one you did, and then the one you wanted to do, right? That's a little public speaking one. But, I did want to say, like, when I was talking about definitions of marriage and whatnot, like marriage is a covenant, right? It's between you, your wife or your spouse, right? And then God, right? It's a legal contract. Like it's a biblical term, right? It's really, really cool. For us personally, like I looked at our marriage these last few years and I said, like, this was a gift that was given to us, right? Like, and we are stewards of this gift, right? So it kind of like made me realize, like, I guess in a nutshell, like, stop being so damn selfish. Like, be somebody that can be edifiable, right? I wanted to be like the guy that people could point to, right? Like, hey, if you're having some problems, go talk to that guy. I wanted to be a stronger person, you know? So that's like one of those things that always motivated me was like, I wanted to be somebody that if you had a question that I could maybe try to help you out. So that was like one of my all-consuming reasons to be a better person, a better human being, right? Like to figure out what my actual capacity was. And I don't think we're there yet. I mean, you think about learning somebody's name, like how many people's name can you learn? I know it's more than what I currently know. I can keep learning more people's names. So like my capacity to know more and to do more is still out there. I haven't reached that yet, you know? And I think one thing that we really looked at was getting out of our own way with our relationship and saying like, stop being so selfish about me, you, or I's, right? Like this relationship is something that's precious to us. It's like, it was gifted to us. It was handed to us, right? In this weird analogy, but like, I want to make sure that I'm honoring God with it. Mm-hmm. You know, like I want to be like, God gave this to me and said, what did you do with this gift? Did you grow it? Did you multiply the talents, right?
Right.
Well, people don't apply that to their marriage. Like that's a gift. And if your relationship, you go bury it in the sand, like think about that, right?
Yeah, right. Bury it in the sand and forget about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So to whom much is given and much is required, and it'll be multiplied. And so, I don't know. I feel like this is the heaviest podcast we've ever done.
But
it is.
Sorry, guys.
It's awesome.
Yeah, this is like cathartic.
This last half is yours. So you go.
You guys said like you don't feel like you were deserving of the legacy talk. Mm-hmm. You guys can't see your legacy. You say you're not experienced enough, but I can see your legacy, and everyone else can. Oh. So own that.
Thank you. I need to get over my imposter syndrome of that. So.
Yeah, right.
And thank you.
Okay.
We're doing our best here. Are you crying?
No.
I'm not crying. You're
I'm not
crying.
You're crying.
Everyone's crying.
Hell, you know it's a good meeting when Caleb's crying, you know?
Oh, yeah, I remember bawling. No, it's just one of those things, like, you're not alone. Everybody, and Brad and Tammy shared that today, too, of, like, they were at a point where, and they didn't go deep on this like they did on when they were on the show here, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, they hit a point where they nearly divorced. I mean, they swore they weren't going to, but I mean, they hit a point where it was, they called it their dark days, is what they call it, a dark period or something like that.
The
where
dark ages or something.
Yeah, where it was like they were about done with each other, and they decided, because everybody on every side, 13 divorces in their family.
Yeah. Wow.
Like that's crazy.
That's a crazy
rough.
environment.
When they said that was like a shocking number. I didn't. Like when they said that during their talk, I was like 13.
Yeah, everybody on every side of the family had been divorced.
Yeah,
it's not good. Yeah, I mean you're under 10% at that point, even in those numbers. I mean it's, I kind of extrapolated that out too quick there, but yeah, it's crazy. It was crazy, but they made the decision they were going to stick it out and figure it out, and that's what you got to do if you're going to.
That commitment right there is what I think this whole event was. Like, make the commitment, keep the commitment, right? Communicate, work on each other. Work with each other, put in that time to get to know each other better. You know, some of the cliff notes, the takeaways, team us, right? That kind of
us.
Yeah. Team us.
I liked that.
You know, like I said, one for us, if you guys can remember anything from the show, was like, hey, let's just both not quit on the same day. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, it sounds so simple, but for us, that's something that really, really helped us out was let's both not quit on the same day. Let's not quit on each other on the same day.
Yeah.
There's times when we both throw in the towel, even you know, your hero here, you know, Mr. Positivity, right? There's been days where I'm like, you know, I couldn't care less about so many different things because I'm not driven by so many things that people think that I'm driven by. Ironically enough, you know me best, and I really couldn't care less about my give it away. It's just a whole different thing, and let's just both not quit on the same day. Like you're my biggest focus, you know what I mean? And I don't think people really think that, you know what I mean? But I know. And I don't have to prove it to anybody else. We both know that.
You don't have to.
You.
All you got to do is prove it to each other, and that's it.
Amen.
That's it. that's
well. Thanks for having us on the show, man.
Yeah. Well, I think you're on your own show
Sorry
at
to
this
get so
point.
Is this our show by now?
Whatever
Okay.
you want. I mean, it's an hour and a half at this point, so I don't know. We'll have to figure out how we chop this.
We'll do
up.
your show, my show, your show.
Break it into quarters. That was awesome, dude.
We'll have to do this again, and then you guys can tell us about like your
we
worst
can tell you
moment
our
in life.
train
And,
wreck, yeah.
I was saying, it seemed like there was like a meaty conversation there. Brittany's like giving them the wink, like, "Don't you do it."
We've all Britt threw something at me one time. That was a good one.
I kicked you on stage today, so.
Yeah, I know. Really, yeah, they know you're a violent.
I gave you like the 2-minute thing. You drop kicked him, and I said, you don't
I
get the
hugged
kick.
him afterwards.
yeah,
affection.
That's
Words of affirmation and physical touch over there.
Yeah, look at that.
oh my gosh, guys, that was awesome stuff.
Well, if
Thanks
this is
again for sharing.
if this is part 2, you guys got to run over to the Kid Contractor podcast, right? If that's what we're going to do, part 1.
I suppose. Yeah.
we're gonna have to do like a full disclosure at the beginning of the
Yeah,
episode
you're
because if
gonna
they
have
come
to
in
do.
halfway
You're
through
gonna have to do a
this,
preface for sure.
Yeah.
Time out.
Coming in hot.
Well, that's
Who helped make this event possible today?
Vermeer
Toro.
Element.
and Almond Landscape, the Hardscape Academy.
Well, I was gonna say
And
Entrepreneur
Entrepreneur
Academy. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, we really do appreciate those guys sponsoring the show. In fact, if you guys want to hear a much better recap probably of the show,
Head over to Paul Jameson where
Yeah.
things are positive and happy.
yeah, for real. They did 13 or 15 episodes. You
That's
guys know.
awesome.
They killed.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
killed
so
today.
there'll be some really fun recaps from you guys that are listening in, the people that were actually at the show. On this episode, we're just ranting about our marriage problems.
It's therapy time with almonds.
Past and present, yeah. Therapy
Caleb
hour.
Brittany's is next. Don't worry.
I bought a coaching call with Brian, so he owes me
Yeah,
this.
she jumped on the whole ball of wax purchase, guys. So she gets their 2 calls. She actually gets access to her own programs too, by the way.
You didn't actually do that, did
Out
you?
time.
Heck no. I said I'll refund your money.
What, Liz? Were you what now?
No, I said I would refund your money. You know what I mean? So she goes, I have 2 coaching calls with you. I got the promotion. I said, nope. I didn't.
Such a good deal. We couldn't pass it up.
Yeah, right.
We like a good value.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I've been waiting to watch my own program.
yeah, right. Oh, by the way, coincidentally enough, the coaching call is now $4.99. They're like, dang it, So you guys are grandfathered in. Darn it. I guess we can't get rid of them yet. I think we're gonna do this again. By the way, Together in the Trades. For any of you guys,
Nashville.
Nashville. You already let the secret out? We're
I
like,
did.
It's out.
I announced
The
it
secret's
on
out?
Paul's podcast.
God, Caleb, these women cannot keep a secret.
Nope.
Right?
I get excited, and that's it.
So we might have the event kind of traveling, if you will, to Nashville, Tennessee, probably same time next year, June, July. So anyway, if you guys listening in, Entrepreneur Academy will be coming up here soon. And if you want to hear more of the almonds, they'll be one of our guest speakers as well. They always do a great job. And today was no different. You guys did a banger job as well.
You
So I
guys
hope
killed it
I hope you guys
today.
are excited about what you guys shared. You guys did a really good job.
We were. I enjoyed it. It was a good one.
Yeah.
And you too. Did we miss before we close out? Did we miss it? We covered all our speakers this morning. We had words to say about everybody. Right?
Spencer's were great. AJ and Alicia, Brad and Tammy, Joyce and Bill,
Emily and Brian.
Emily and Brian, the 3 sponsors, Element, Toro, and
Brittany with
Vermeer.
and Vermeer.
Brittany was on.
Kayla and Brittany, the panel, Brad and Tammy. I think that is.
Dr. Herb.
You guys and us.
That's right. That's
And that's
everybody. Yeah. So it was a really, really good time.
Together in
Thank
the
you,
Trades
guys.
2021.
Thank you.
All right. There's our debrief, and but we're solid now, right,
It's
babe?
bedtime now.
Now it is bedtime. Everybody's overly tired, overly emotional. Let's go to
Amen.
bed.
12:35.
Hey, if you guys appreciate these episodes, again, go to part 1, Kid Contractor Podcast. Share it. Share it. Tag it on Instagram. Tag the almonds at Almond Landscape at almond.Brittany, I think it is.
At Almond Brittany.
At Almond Brittany, and let them know. Shoot them a message. If you were at the show, let us know how we did. Shoot us a DM. Shoot them a DM, and give these guys some love. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. So,
Just came through an experience of a lifetime.
is that what somebody said? Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
There you go.
Good night, guys.
Awesome, folks.
All right, guys. Well, over and out on this episode of Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast, guys. We will catch up with you here on the next one. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be the conclusion of this hour and a half, almost long podcast episode. Part 1 was with the almonds. Part 2, you guys just got done listening. Wow. What do you think?
I I don't know how I feel about this one going out sometimes. I go back and forth because you want to be real with people. Like you want to not be that like fluffy, perfect example all the time. And there is a story there. There's obviously more of a story between then and now and how we got here. But I think just ripping back that veil, I don't think it's comfortable.
No, not at all. And you know what though? I think this is the fun, well, not fun, but the authentic conversation that a lot of you guys are looking for. This is the unfiltered part about business and life. And I really enjoy, just having you on the show to share these other stories that we're not perfect. We have, Instagram and YouTube and highlight reels. We all do. But you know what? There's real life relationship stuff behind the scenes. And to get our relationship to where it is today, which I feel is a really good example. I'm really comfortable and happy with our relationship and our life. But it took a lot of effort.
It did. And it's something we work on every single day.
Still do every single day. But this was a illuminating conversation, right? One that I think when we left, the almonds were like, okay.
They were kidding when they said they're white trash.
Yeah. When we came from way back, guys, we came from way back. And it's not just financially. I think I said in the episode that we were broke. And broke isn't a level of money, right? Broke was broken. We were broken relationally, spiritually, financially, and we're not anymore. And so anyway, that took a lot of effort, a lot of work. And so hopefully this just gives you guys some motivation or inspiration that maybe you're going through a valley or a dark time, or you just came out of it, or just maybe you want to gird yourself up because you might go through this kind of stuff. Just let you know that other people are out there dealing with this kind of crap too. And we're no different. We're real, regular, normal people.
Every relationship has its own story.
Exactly. Amen. So. All right, guys. Well, hey, if you guys, like I said, if you happen to have listened to this one because you didn't hit the pause button, like I said earlier, and go to the first part, here are the Together in the Trades recap that we did with the almonds. It was really, really good. Like Caleb said, this was all stuff that came out pretty much after about 11:30 at night, with all of us drained pretty much on sleep deprived, E in the tank. And so so you're going to get the authentic part of conversations with the almonds and the Fullertons late night from the first ever Together in the Trades, which by the way, the annual conference will resume, I should say, in Nashville, Tennessee in 2022. So look forward to that before you know it. And follow us along on the Instagram, which is
Together in the Trades.
All right, guys. Well, there you go. Let's button up right here. And guys, we look forward to catching up with you here on the next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.